No.
And we're recording, so yeah.
Got it, okay.
You want to kick it off? Hold on.
All right.
Hold on a second. It's
Okay.
setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. Redirecting to
Oh, so it's-
YouTube, done.
It takes a little, few minutes.
So I have to. Oh,
This is the
there's.
first time we've done it with YouTube Live, but
Usually it's just Zoom, right?
usually we just do the Zoom and everyone was asking for recording, we had full requests, and so it just makes it easier just to stream it.
Right. Now, does YouTube save it when you're done?
I see.
Yes.
But
Okay, it's just like Facebook, I do that for the church, right? It's just, it saves it.
So right now we're recording and it's live on YouTube.
Okay.
So
Great, nobody can see me, right?
not yet, unless you want to.
No. Thanks.
Okay,
Well, actually, this will pick up whoever's talking.
yeah, this will, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'll call us to order for our March 3rd meeting of the Tenant Advisory Board. Welcome, everybody. And on the agenda, I thought we would just update if there's any thoughts on what we heard from Homeland Towers last time. And then if there's any updates from the carrier outreach. And then, I thought we would spend the bulk of our time talking about the cityscape presentation and what we learned from that, and and next steps for how we're going to proceed based on what they presented. But I think importantly, the timetable seems to be winding down for that study, and therefore our ability to move quickly will off the moratorium will be there. And so I just want to make sure we're prepared with all the action steps that we have. And then if there's anything else we want to get out of Cityscape before the study concludes, I think this is the time to do that.
Right.
So I guess before we get into that, I'll put a motion to adopt the minutes from our January 27th meeting.
Second.
I have a second. Any objections to discussions?
Corrections.
I don't have any, but I wasn't here, so I'm
Okay.
not necessarily sure that I can vote on it, which means that I don't know if it's gonna.
Yeah, correct. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not-
So you'll abstain.
Yeah, I'm gonna abstain from voting, but
Okay.
I don't know if that means I'm holding it up from getting passed or not.
No.
Well, I think we'll get a proxy from Lynn at some point.
Yeah.
She's something as well.
The purpose of approving minutes is to make them public, or is there?
Well, approving the minutes to make the public, because I don't send them
Yeah,
to Janet to post until we get
Until
them approved.
yeah.
Right.
Because other people are like, sometimes people are like, why don't you have minutes? We just had the meeting yesterday.
Yeah.
And we meet every 2 months, so don't hold your breath.
But you can also log in and see it, so.
Right.
Yeah, attend the meeting.
But
Well, now we can too. I mean, we should
Sure.
mention that we're streaming through
course.
the town account on YouTube now to.
Yeah, we are
facilitate,
streaming live, right?
better communication with the public. And we did have, a pretty thorough summary that Jessica put in the record review,
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Okay.
based on the summary that I sent to her.
Okay.
So actually in comment to some of the comments that were received at the board meeting, there was notification through the record review article about the new site proposed by Homeland Towers. So
Okay.
I think we should be in good shape there in terms of public acknowledgement, and these minutes will be posted promptly with more detail, but I think the essentials were in the record review article.
Right.
Okay, so I guess we'll move on to the next item of Homeland Towers, and any further thoughts to their presentation in thinking about it further, and if we've heard any updates
Yeah,
one way or another.
I reached out just as before we started, I texted Ray Vergati to see if there was any updates on because they were waiting to hear back from Verizon.
Mhm.
So he hasn't responded yet. So I'll see if I can get a hold of him tomorrow.
Okay.
And
The
some
one
senses with
the
that.
one thing I had and I've had this since the beginning with the cityscape is they have, in a lot of their maps of Lewisboro, they have the tower that doesn't exist in a lot of the maps, and like they have a number, it's like, it's either a number or they skipped a number. So they have
The-
7 towers in some maps, and
Okay.
6 in others, so in real.
The tower that doesn't exist is the Saltstone
It's
proposed
all
tower?
proposed,
Yeah.
yeah, so they have 7 towers in some, and then 6 towers in other places, they count.
Yeah,
The numbers count from 1 to 7, and this one is like number 5. And so it's kind of misleading. If you-
Yeah.
If you say,
Mhm.
you know, L1, and it would require them to renumber them.
yeah.
But I said that at the very beginning.
No, I think we've communicated that,
Just take that
multiple
out.
times,
It's
yeah.
like-
There's a reason they wanted to keep it in, right? I forget what it was.
No, but
Um,
it's.
Well, let's add that to the list as,
So to me,
clarification items for
that's
cityscape.
correction.
So is that, so I'm looking at that slide that they presented, that Susan presented. So there's L4.
Yeah, so she may have
L
fixed it in the latest slide.
L4, L6. L6 is Leon Levy, L7 is Vista.
Yeah, and then L5 is the one that doesn't exist.
Okay, so that's not on here. L5 is not here, yeah, so she's.
Just like the number, it's
Yeah.
a number, the number.
Yeah.
They've taken it out.
Okay.
There's-
Oh, but there is another, the second
Second
map
map
depicts
has-
L5,
still has it in
yeah.
there. So it's kind of, you know, it's this dirty data. It's
Yeah,
not been cleaned.
Yeah,
so she has it as approved, but not yet built in the key.
Yeah, which is not true either.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, proposed and under review. I was
Proposed,
looking at
okay,
the
that's-
second
well,
column.
yeah, I mean, it is labeled, proposed.
Yeah.
It's labeled, but
Yeah.
it's still, it's like when you count things, you
Yeah.
know, you should count things that are existing.
Right.
First,
Right,
and then, you know, go back and number them, because then, you know, but anyway, that's a minor nitpick, but it also creates questions of, well, you already have this here.
Yeah,
You've already approved it, it's been in the study, and
yeah,
then we get people who are like.
yeah,
So it's,
yeah, no, I agree, it's,
but I think, yeah, now I recall we had this discussion, so I think part of it was we wanted to identify the ones that are, you know,
Right.
under consideration as part of the overall analysis, right, that they're doing.
I think that was their
That was-
justification. for
yeah,
Keeping it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but before we get onto the cityscape thing, just anything more about, the proposed site, down the road further next to Mountain?
no, nothing
Okay,
I don't know,
above and beyond what Homeland presented to us at the last meeting,
okay,
so.
and I don't know if you've actually driven and looked at it, and since the proposal, but it's a very small site, half of it is like, there's like a river.
yeah,
Goes through it, and
yeah,
half of it is rock.
Which side is this?
So this is next to the South Salem Animal Hospital on Route 35,
Okay,
so
so
it's a.
less than a mile from the tower that's in the Levy
Salt
Preserve?
and the
Yeah.
stone.
yeah, so that was what,
Yeah.
What about all the salt?
It's not in addition to that, they're saying as a possible.
As an alternative.
Which is like less than a mile from the Levy Preserve,
Yeah, it's-
which is the highest point of elevation in the town of Lewisboro.
they said, the study said, or no, was it Ray?
Hunter Tower 6, I think Manny said, which it was a point that you brought up earlier, that the Leon Levy Tower is an old
Oh.
international.
International.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
it's Vaughn's Tower. yeah.
And Manny's point was that because of that, it wasn't really,
It's not designed for sale.
it's not designed for sale, and the location is less than ideal for a cell tower because it's shadowed by
Population around.
the topography of where they put it.
Just, come on.
Yeah, because they simply just needed a line of sight.
No,
They needed a line of sight to beam out to the Atlantic, and that was kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
Yeah,
What's on that tower now?
Verizon and.
AT&T.
I thought, yeah,
And those are cell towers, right? Is there still any microwave stuff up there?
There's no microwave.
So it's just cell stuff?
yeah,
So I mean,
it's also shorter than
the
a
tower we do, you know?
Well, they.
yeah, no, yeah, that's clear. Those only those asking like if what that would do.
And by the way, you could do a Pound Ridge then put in the mighty oak.
Yes.
Oh, the
See that?
Yeah, but that's why I raised that point of the existing tower.
Yeah.
because, Yeah, maybe there is possibility of redoing that site.
Yeah,
Right, right.
Of course, Homeland wouldn't benefit from that because it's currently owned by American Tower. However, American Tower
They
are
might
some of the
contract.
most difficult people in the industry to work with.
yeah.
But maybe they would be interested in
Improving.
improving the
Well,
site.
Or selling the site to somebody else.
Well, that's what Homeland did with Cross River. I think they sold it to American Tower.
Right, and then Insight sold the Vista Tower to American Tower,
Tower, yeah, yeah.
Which
So-
still didn't get any resolution. on.
which we still have no resolution on as well, yeah.
Okay.
Also, that swampland across from the hayloft. It's not very high, but it's also closer to Levy, but.
The Halo, oh, that's now the Montessori school. or
Yeah.
something?
Way.
This
That's the way,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Who owns that land?
But anyway, so,
It's filed.
I mean, I was kind of surprised by that too, that,
There's a house back there.
that Manny
Yeah.
said that they had sort of looked at it and that they didn't see any issues with, this new site.
Across from the animal hospital or from the
Across-
salt dome?
Across the,
It's not across the street,
Yeah.
it's actually the same side of the street as.
And I think he even said,
Inside of the corner.
and I think he even said, which I reviewed because for the minutes, I think he even said something to the effect that there was. That it was in some ways easier than the salt dome because they didn't have to work around the existing use and.
Mhm.
And the wetlands.
So that, I mean, that may be easier for them because it's, you know, but it's still, there's still significant wetlands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, and but he did say that they haven't done the full review, which would
That land is-
unearth all that.
The land on the, like, I guess, southern side of 35 by Thistlethwaite is.
No,
privately-
It's
privately owned. No, I'm just saying it's privately owned.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but I mean, that was essentially the message from Homeland Towers is that, from a carrier's perspective, which is also their perspective, that
Sure.
Mhm.
filling that gap, along Route 35 is funded and what they want to do first and foremost, and the salt dome is the ideal location.
Mhm.
Secondarily, the new site would work, even though it's less ideal, at least
Right,
from AT&T standpoint, and they were trying to get Verizon
It's-
to buy into
It's
that.
not, so it sacrifices, it's closer to the Leon Levy Tower and it's still close enough to the Truesdale Lake area, but the salt dome is closer physically and, you know, elevation wise.
Yeah.
To Twin Lakes and that, so that has a more.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're gonna lose the
Yeah.
big
You lose-
extreme northern end of.
And I think that is part of the trade-off that, you know, from the recycling center site to the salt dome, there's a loss of coverage to the lakes, and then
Yeah.
further loss of coverage if you move it to the new.
The other advantage is that the salt dome site's already a utility site, you know, it's already like,
Furnished, yeah.
Yeah,
it's not.
Fiber and power,
It's
yeah.
in pristine wetlands.
yeah,
It's not, you know, it's been developed.
Yeah.
It has room and.
And there's fiber and power there.
Exactly.
What's the elevation difference?
I don't know what the
The
elevation.
difference is probably, I think it's 20 feet or so.
Oh, that's it.
Forget it then. Okay.
Yeah.
but between the salt dome site and the new proposed site.
Yeah, but that would make a big difference.
Yeah.
That's a big difference in propagation for
They
Twin
could,
Lakes.
they could make it 20 feet higher.
Yeah, that's probably what they would
Yeah.
propose to do.
So but that site is also, I don't know if it would be, probably wouldn't see it from, people on the west side of the lake may be able to see it, so. So you
Well-
may still get people.
If they
That's a
do,
balloon test.
And has there been any communication, inbound communication from anybody on that site?
no, not yet.
No,
Okay.
But then again, it hasn't really
No,
been
no,
publicized,
okay.
right, which was a point
Yeah,
that was part of
okay.
the town board meeting,
Yeah.
it was publicized,
I
I
was
was,
curious.
yeah, advisory board a month ago,
Yeah.
yeah.
so there's two other thing, or one other thing, I guess, that comes to mind. If they were to go with that site simply because it's easier, which is fine. The other possibility, I suppose, would be a micro site in Truesdale. So if you're surrounded by two macro sites, you have one at the town park and you have one further
35.
Yeah.
east on 35, maybe there's enough propagation from the
They-
site
they
that's
could,
further
yeah,
east on 35 that they could do a pole mounted site or
Yeah.
a micro site, very low tower in that area.
But you still need fiber to that microsite,
There's no fiber in Truesdale?
I don't know.
Well, and there might be
No,
once the
it's here, right?
optimum,
Let's go to here, yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there's
fiber.
here, I mean, Truesdale is like 20
yeah.
minutes.
So can they extend it?
What about Mountain Lakes? It's right over Truesdale.
The county, it's county property and
They
they
don't want
won't,
anybody touching their tower.
Yeah, not touching it, it's this whole parkland, the
Yeah.
alienation thing
They
that
got a
they.
tower up already.
doesn't.
Yeah, but it's.
It's on the wrong side.
It's also a lattice tower, not a.
Correct. So it's not.
But it's on the wrong side.
You wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
put the cellular,
Right.
it's just. a-
But I mean, but this gets to the point
You
that,
could hide it deep in
that-
the lakes, you never see it.
Yeah.
but this is, I get to the
That's
point
county,
that,
basically,
It's on the land.
Can't do it.
They're like, no, find something else.
but this gets to the point that I think we also need to consider as the AB and the town is, given that the carriers want to put something along Route 35 somewhere, is there any way that we can get a commitment from them to do that and something else?
And
Even
and micro.
even if it's a micro tower,
Yeah.
There's fiber here in this building.
There is, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that is something that, even if the town has to, front the expense for it, have it pulled to wherever the microsite would be.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't
Yeah.
Main Street runs like right into the Lake District, doesn't it?
Well, and-
Or close to it for a microsite to be viable?
Right.
well, and maybe we talk to,
If you're gonna pay the monthly fee, they're gonna put it in for nothing. Which if you're doing all Ts, it's like $200-300 a month for the cheapest 30 meg. I'm not sure what a cell tower sucks up for data.
Yeah.
that's a fair point.
That's,
Right.
yeah.
But I'm just wondering, since LT said that they were putting in fiber to the home sometime before the end of this year, whether as part of that.
They might already be planning
That
to.
they-
roll out
The
fiber.
fiber that we have is
Yeah.
Altice, but it's under a different name. They have a different for.
Yes.
I forget the name. Lightpath, that's it. That's what we have.
No, but I'm just talking about the guy that came to present to the town board,
Oh,
couple
John
months ago,
Duggan.
or whenever that was,
Yeah,
that gave the update on their fiber to
Fiber
the home rollout.
yeah.
He stood up and claimed that it was gonna happen by the end of this year,
Yes,
even though
yeah.
it was supposed to happen by the end of last year.
Yeah, and then COVID, they're blaming COVID, but
Yeah.
it's, yeah, but that's what they're saying, Q4 this year.
So and that could be another follow-up item, if
Yeah.
we could figure out if there's
Volunteer to test it.
is a fiber.
We're sending it to Oak Ridge. Either way.
Verizon went into Heritage Hills and nobody wanted it. They sort of, that was a once been.
The demographic in Heritage Hills
Yeah.
is probably a little bit different than,
Way different.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
My
yes,
parents
it's
just
different.
yes.
Okay, so yeah, I think those are just
Yeah.
items to think about in terms of that,
Right.
and and I don't know, and the other thing that it reminded me from the minutes was, if we want to do anything on the recommendation, which I don't know if it's too late at this point, but the recommendation to write a letter to North Salem about the Hammond Tower.
Right, right.
I'm a little bit skeptical that that's
Yeah.
gonna do very much for the
That-
north of town,
That
but
will, I think the area that they talked about at the meeting was.
Yeah.
121.
121 and 130.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
and it's
Chapel Road.
really gonna be almost exclusively that.
But that
because-
will be like the limits.
Yeah.
But,
And you're-
but it's nothing.
And you're still on
Yeah.
the fringe of, like, if we're talking about Lake District coverage,
Yeah.
you're still at the propagation from 121 and 138
Yeah.
is still not gonna reach like.
No,
And as Rob pointed out, there's an 800 feet,
yeah.
an 800-foot elevation.
Difference.
And then,
Yeah,
and between Hammond and all the lakes.
Sure,
So that's
yeah.
not really gonna do.
2.5 miles.
Yeah.
So.
So at best, it's gonna help
it's making.
margin,
Yeah.
that
Like
upper corner.
It's making the case for micro.
It'll help.
Well, that's been my vision for a while, is we get the lake districts to basically put in
Micro,
fiber and then, and put micro towers around.
What about at the top of Holly Road, where it makes that sharp left-hand turn, those driveways on the right, the common driveways? It's if you were to take land, if you're coming from 121,
Uh-huh,
go up Holly Road, the mountain road,
uh-huh,
where it makes that sharp left turn, where you can go straight to
Mountain.
someone's driveway. There's a driveway, there's like 12, a couple of houses up there.
Yeah.
My clients is up there. The elevation up there is amazing. I just don't know what's available.
Charlie Mott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up there, Mott Estate is up there.
Yeah,
Right. and-
Yeah.
That's North Salem, isn't
it is North Salem.
it? Yeah.
Oh,
that is, yeah.
well, we could borrow a piece of property from this.
Well,
Maybe.
well, and
We
that
think it's recommended.
Yeah, it's up for
and it brings me back to
This is where you're talking about right here. It's
that well site
It's just over.
on the back of Twin Lakes.
That's that sharp left. you're
Yeah,
talking
It's that
about, right?
high,
Yeah,
then you have all.
Oh, no, wait,
this, you know,
where's the one
everything
twenty-one?
covered in Twin Lakes. but
121
that would
is
be-
out.
There's no open
This one.
space.
Okay, so you come with that, yeah, that.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's the
right,
sharp left.
yep.
It's just over the border of North Salem.
So,
Which is cool.
yeah.
And I guess before we move on, like, has there been any other outreach to the carriers, that we can report on?
So I have a request into my Verizon contact.
Okay,
We were talking about other things, including fiber expansion in town.
okay,
And I confirmed with him, he's the government relations guy. And I confirmed if he was the guy to, because we have some other contacts that I think
Yeah.
I shared with you guys before on the more technical side, the engineering side.
okay,
But he says, yeah, we should go through him, the government relations guy. But from Verizon's perspective, he said that they are working with Homeland. So there
Okay.
isn't any, but I'm still gonna, in fact, I sent them another, because there's some open questions I have to him. So I sent them another request to engage in conversation regarding wireless.
Yeah,
And see
okay.
what we can do about the gaps, like, microsites and then
Okay.
AT&T. I haven't reached out to them, but we still have that issue where they have like the tower on 22 in Golden Bridge where they don't have anything facing east
yeah,
because there was nothing.
Yeah.
It's like north and south.
It's north and south and then west.
yeah,
And so that's something I want to take up with them because if they put something facing east,
Hmm.
who knows, that can
Might
maybe
help something.
help.
So it's the
some
one
of
off of 22 or?
Yeah, the one on 22
Yeah,
by
okay.
684 there.
Mhm.
So they admitted to us on a call. Well, you were on the call, right? Were you
Yeah.
on the Call?
yeah, I was on my call.
Yeah, they showed us like their
Yeah,
propagation and their, and
Yeah, they
the
had-
power.
You got a screenshot of that, I think.
Yeah, I have
yeah,
a photo, yeah,
I
yeah.
think I took a screenshot of that, yeah.
And then the one on Harriet Lane,
Brownell,
Brunel.
Yeah.
That's also underpowered.
underpowered.
So let's try to get
And
those.
it's not as
Yeah.
high as it could be.
Yeah, but can
Yeah.
you put
You can't really
stronger,
work with that.
antennas on there
Right.
and maybe that'll
Yeah.
help with some of the.
I mean, that doesn't hit Increase Miller, which you could throw a rock at from that tower.
Well, and that was the other thing
Yeah.
that Manny from Home Tower said is that Increase Miller would be an ideal site for a less than macro site, but they just don't want to
Yeah,
get
the
there because
schools
there's
don't-
not
yeah,
gonna
The
be.
school's never gonna do that.
But he said the Goldsbridge Firehouse could be a site, and then there's another piece of property that he says in between the firehouse and Increase Miller.
Yes, the one on by Increase Mill Road, that
That
swampy area.
could also
Yeah.
Lands,
be a-
yeah.
a less than,
The only, there's two possibilities that the school district would give up for cell tower, Shady Lane, the old district office. That they might be able to be
yeah,
convinced.
I
to
mentioned
use.
that, I mentioned that to them when
The
they.
other one is
when-
Lewisboro, Lewisboro Elementary, which is also not far from the Lake District.
Actually, yeah, that, and they have fiber.
They have
That's true.
fiber. Yeah.
It's not, I think it's dark, but it's.
I don't
it's
think
there.
they're, so they are talking about bringing in fiber,
Okay,
It's up.
because they've approached the town to let us know that.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're working things out there.
Yeah.
But, so I don't think they have it yet,
okay,
but it's in the area, so it's easy enough to.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah,
I mean,
they're
you know.
pulling it from 35.
Right,
Because that was the conversation I think we had, not, obviously I wasn't at the last meeting, but I think the meeting before, I had brought an update about about KLSD's IT saying that it would have to be pulled from 35.
Yeah.
It would be like an absorbent amount of money for them to do, for the school district to be able to
right,
do it.
right.
But if they're still gonna do it for home installs anyway, then.
If it's coming up, well, yeah, again,
Yeah.
if it's coming up the street anyway, that's one thing.
Right,
and I think that's our takeaway, we would like find out from Altice with their fiber to home rollout, both from a bandwidth and other perspective, how much
Right.
that. Cause I mean, they may even make money off the carriers by being able to wire in some installations.
Yeah, if they have it built in.
Yeah.
you know,
so the question
big
is,
bulk.
the fiber to the home, is it sufficient for?
Well, yeah, I mean,
counties, or is
or
it-
like, are they planning to
Yeah,
trench in some more fiber
Yeah.
or whatever? I
Yeah.
don't know what their plan is, but they must have some plan as they're.
yeah, well, it's probably
Yeah.
pole,
Yeah, it's
along the
probably-
existing lines, yeah.
Yeah, actually, LES, although it's low in elevation and very close to the town park site, might be an alternative to the Salt Dome as well. Again, like, I don't know
Yeah.
if we're like way too far into the weeds on the Salt Dome
Yeah.
project already. but
Yeah,
If they're considering east on 35, maybe they'll consider
yeah,
north, a little bit more north.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think
Yeah.
the salt dome
I mean, the salt dome's really the ideal
I,
site.
I think that is the ideal site, and it's just a matter of, is there, is there enough, other reasons other than it being the ideal site to move it down
To
to.
move it down the road, yeah, yeah. So that's what we're gonna have to,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to
yeah.
balance, right? Pros and cons of each.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, I mean, I understand the opposition to the salt dome and from a aesthetic standpoint,
Right, right.
Um,
Street goes up.
but
Okay.
When has someone said,
yeah, I think that's a fair point too, that wherever it's gonna go, that, people that are closest to it may not be as happy.
Right, right, yeah,
yeah, I mean, you might, the people at the animal hospital probably don't know about the potential sighting.
right.
And
Yeah, would they have any concerns over it? I don't know.
What was the
Also,
issue?
look at us dollar figures, Jeff would look at that and be like, oh, we're income, maybe.
Yeah,
well, he doesn't own. the
well, he doesn't know the
property.
problem.
Town owns it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's what.
It's just west of the animal hospital.
Yeah.
But,
It was taken over in 2017, the tax lien, and I believe that the animal hospital had the opportunity to buy it, but.
When they decided not
They
to.
didn't, so.
but what was the opposition to it being at the highway garage? Was it too far,
the
35?
Yeah,
No, the
opposition
Lake
from
Tru, the
neighbors.
Lake Truesdale.
By the highway garage, yeah, the like Truesdale folks, yeah,
I've got a whole bunch of.
yeah.
That I read through today, it was in the July 2020 notes on all your notes that you have.
Oh, okay.
It was in one of the packages and there were probably 30 letters.
Oh, yeah, I think I
Yeah,
got
that's right.
I got a download of all the letters that were submitted about that.
So there was more resistance to that than there was to the salt dome.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
And also
yeah.
Homeland Tower says we're not even considering that property anymore because for technical reasons, but also like.
They don't wanna deal with it. Yeah, understood. Fair enough.
So, yeah, so I have an action item to reach out to AT&T to find out about those underpowered
Yeah, I think that's
slash
worthwhile.
missing.
Yeah, and I have a note, and maybe you
Yeah.
can help me with this, is like, you know, as we turn to the cityscape thing, is like, what more can we get out of their study before it concludes? You know, just in terms of recommendations, because
Well, that's what I'd like to see from is, you know.
it
okay,
feels like some
what they've done.
representation on Monday that, you know, it was pretty much the same,
There was.
didn't really advance the ball very much.
Right,
I only caught about half of it because I came
Yeah.
to the meeting late, but it was, I did a write-up in October. I took their survey because they concluded the survey in September.
right.
So she was basically, and we sent it to her.
And we sent it to her, yeah.
So she may have copied some of my notes,
Yeah.
but, and I'd be, kind of flattering if she did, but,
Yeah,
She did thank the AAB.
I don't know if you remember, I sent it out, I got a copy, of
Yeah.
it, but I have,
No, I took the survey.
yeah, I have this,
But your summary was great.
Yeah, and so like,
yeah,
the facts, like, there were 467 people, a couple of the questions, I don't know if we're moving into the cityscapes.
Yeah, we're moving to the cityscape.
do you
thing.
want me to share it on the screen for folks that are, I mean, I have the summary that Susan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Has it, how the researchers put
Are
forth
you're
a map that shows the blobs of coverage? And
Yeah.
That's, if you go, there's a packet on the town website, I think it's under our section,
Right.
that, shows the preliminary result.
Proposed,
Yeah.
it has like all the different coverage
Yeah.
bands, which correlate to different
But,
characters.
you know, again, it's like based on their models, it's.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
and
just
they-
like any other RF propagation study. It's like with a certain confidence interval, and then the only true way to test it, which they've come to,
Yeah,
is a drive test.
Okay, so that's what Verizon says they have that, and Homeland says they have the actual data.
Okay.
And they agree with some of the maps, but they disagree with, like, the
That's
real
fine.
world.
They did a drive test for the Salto site,
They
if I'm.
didn't do a drive.
No,
test.
no,
They have-
no.
They have
Yeah,
real.
they were going to,
maps
but
of
they're got put on.
their users going through and what their service is
Okay.
like.
Yeah.
The county fire did the same thing, like thousands of interval.
Data points, yeah.
Plotted
on
Their
GPS.
coverage, right?
Okay,
I wonder if we could glean some of that data, because the towers are the same, but I don't know if that would help at all.
The propagation is
Towers
different.
already have, already have cell towers.
well, I think the propagation maps are, you know, are pretty accurate. It's really a matter of once they get, you know, which was Homeland Towers kind of argument is like, once they get this tower here on 35, where it's gonna go.
Right,
And they get the Hammond Tower, and then they fill in with Golden's Bridge near the firehouse or whatever, then, you know, we'll be pretty good.
Fell off, yeah.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, it feels far-fetched to think that, I mean, you may get coverage outside or in your car, or, you know, marginal coverage in your house, but you're not gonna be able to like watch a Netflix video on your phone or anything like that.
Or guide your Tesla that has a self-driving.
Yeah. I mean, or, you know, do a medical, a telemedicine visit, you know, yeah.
There's another thing that's about to come out for internet. Verizon's stopped with their Fios to the house. They're gonna be doing wireless from the pole to your house.
Yeah,
So
And
I'm not sure how far that is out, and that's gonna change things dramatically.
Well, if that works with cell phones, then that kind of.
Right, well, you do
that's-
cell phone over Wi-Fi and then you're done.
yeah, and I think that's basically essentially what it would do. You
Right.
basically do
But that.
Well, if you buy cell phone coverage from Cablevision, what you're doing is buying Wi-Fi, you know. calls
you're going over their Wi-Fi.
And you're bouncing over their optimum network.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that might be another thing, like when
That's-
you're
that's
talking to
fine.
Verizon about
Coverage is
Fios,
like-
is get an update on when that
And that's also
when that service
5 years in the future.
is coming out and whether they're planning
least,
to
yeah.
cover anywhere outside of the Fios neighborhoods.
You're
like
talking
that.
about FiOS, the.
No, I mean,
extension, the-
because
Well, what-
Sam said,
what
like,
Sam said,
what
yeah.
Sam's saying, I mean, my understanding is that Verizon basically sunsetted Fios in everywhere where they're not already putting it in.
Right,
And, you know, particularly in rural areas, maybe big cities, because they have the fiber there, but then they're moving to, can't remember what they call it now, but I mean, they essentially beam in a 5G.
Yeah, it's why, it's, yeah.
Eventually it'll be
Wireless
6G,
broadband.
but they'll beam in a signal to a modem you've got in your house
Mhm.
from the nearest point where they can do it, you know.
Hundred
Probably
percent, yeah.
a thing on a pole somewhere in the neighborhood.
Every 6 poles, like, Cablevision has the Adelphi boosters on every 6th or 8th
Yeah.
pole. Verizon would do the same thing.
And so if you have line of sight to that pole, that you'll basically get a
Yeah.
beamed in
But
broadband.
Just based on my experience with Cablevision, the Optimum Online,
Mhm.
you know, my phone is very promiscuous. It goes whatever network.
Yeah.
Whatever open network it goes to.
Yeah,
And Optimum Online, I've logged in, just doesn't work. Like it,
Right.
whenever my phone stops working, I
Yeah.
realize I'm connected to Optimum Online, one of the
Yeah,
hotspots.
yeah,
I have to turn off Wi-Fi to actually get.
Yeah.
Isn't that
So, so it's
Yeah,
just-
their Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's really.
yeah, I mean, same thing happens to me.
So do you want to go over any of these results on?
I mean,
Share the screen?
Yeah, I mean, could do that.
So I've asked that it be posted to the antenna advisory board page on our website, the town's website.
Okay,
So it'll go up there tomorrow.
okay.
The comments, one of the comments at the meeting was about, a scientific study. And I think it was Dean Travelino, said,
Oh, in terms of polling
in terms of
methodology.
the polling
Yeah.
methodology,
Yeah.
like, and there's 2 comments I have for that, like, it's very much more expensive to do, like, if you want a representative sample, if you want blind, this is not like a blind taste test.
Mhm.
These are residents.
Yeah,
They are motivated, that's why they're responding to this survey,
Right.
because like 90% of the residents in town
Yeah.
don't have good cell phone.
Yeah.
So, to get a representative sample, 477 that's very
Okay.
representative.
Yeah.
yeah,
And there is information in their individual surveys about that, we did ask where they lived.
Mhm.
And then they also commented, and I aggregated the most common areas that they talked about were missing
Mhm.
cell service. And there's no mystery there. It's
Right.
all very, very well known.
Right.
It's all the areas we've been talking about
Yeah.
that are missing. And you can almost pick an area and say, yep, that was in the survey.
yeah,
Right, yeah,
Increase Miller Road, definitely in the survey, like
Mhm.
just down
Yeah.
the street from the Golden Bridge Fire Department, definitely in the
Right.
survey.
Yeah.
Twin Lakes, Walkabuck,
right,
basically, anywhere.
yeah.
Anywhere you think of.
Well, 'cause
So,
did we
It's
post
not
those?
like-
I think we posted, did we post yours? I know we circulated it around, but do we post it to the
We should.
to the website? If we haven't, we probably
It's,
should.
there's,
right?
there's only one
Yeah.
document there.
Because you're, I mean,
Right,
this survey results is pales in comparison to
They
the,
did
what
a-
you pulled out.
they did a one pager,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great one-page summary of everything they've done to date.
Yeah.
But, if you want more details on the map, they've got a whole packet with
Yeah.
all the maps laid out and.
And I also
More detail.
collated the answers to each of the questions. I actually have graphs too, wow.
Yeah, you did a great job with that, Rod.
That's-
Yeah, no, that was a great job. Yeah, we should.
And
we
then
should
all
put
the
it up.
comments, I just
Yeah.
took the comments verbatim and included them in,
Yeah.
in the PDF, so.
But I mean,
it's-
and my other takeaway from the meeting, I mean, I think in terms of,
It's 35.
responding to some of the comment that Andrea made, which is really, she's getting up to speed on all this, is about the difference between the macros coverage site, the macro sites and the microsites. Because I think there's still this perception that, we can just bring in a bunch of microsites and be done. And everybody that we've talked to says that that's not gonna be the case.
It's coverage versus bandwidth, yeah.
Physics of, you can't just fill in, you need,
Right.
you need to walk before you can run. It's.
The more we can get from Cityscape and anybody else to sort of convince people that that's the case is gonna be helpful in the long run. Because I mean, if I thought in 5 years that these towers were unnecessary, I don't
Yeah,
know
then
that
we
I'd be
would-
advocating
we
for
would
one. but I just
reconsider,
don't
right,
think
yeah.
That's,
Yeah,
If anything, we're moving towards wireless, not away from it.
yeah,
meaning
And-
towers are gonna be needed.
Meaning towers are gonna be needed.
Yeah.
Especially when they look to sites to bring to like roll out
right.
wireless broadband and stuff like Sam's talking
Well,
about.
think about it, for your house, you can buy a Wi-Fi hotspot from AT&T right now,
Yeah.
that'll give you 5G in your house.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so they're, again, we're not moving away from it, we're moving
Right.
towards it, but
Yeah.
the difference is, and I know we've reiterated this in the past, but the difference between micro and macro is coverage versus bandwidth.
Yeah,
So you can't have bandwidth if you don't have coverage.
Right.
And that's where the macro site comes in for the coverage. The micro site fills in bandwidth where it's
Right,
lacking.
Right.
So that's the, that's
Right.
the short reason for
and I think like,
Why
the
we
more
can't
you
just
say
do
that,
micro
the more we
sites.
say that, the more you say that, and remind everybody, the better, I think.
Yeah.
And like I know another example of a micro site was the shopping plaza or the high school light towers on the
Yeah.
turf. Because when school is in session, I know we had talked about that repeatedly, that when school is in session, the bandwidth from the LVAC tower just plummets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, well,
so,
okay,
Yeah, and I think this whole thing is exacerbated by the litigation in Bedford over their towers. and
right.
Wanting them all to be 60 feet or shorter or something.
That's just
unrealistic.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so I'm not gonna share, we're not.
I mean, I think we can just like make people aware that it's gonna be on the website. I mean, this is
Yeah.
it's a nice summary. But I don't know that we learned too much new, except for this at the bottom, which may be worth the zoning. The zoning analysis that they did. And, I made a note and I sent a note to Lynn actually too, since she's our legal trained person on the board is, what we can do, to help the town upgrade these sections that have kind of been
The
highlighted.
codes, yeah.
And then is there other code, which I asked Susan about in the past, which I'll send her another note to do that is, can they recommend language to, I think she even said it in the meeting that would be wireless infrastructure friendly, but also, make some standards for design and aesthetics in the process so that we're getting quality infrastructure that also isn't just a mess. Because I think that this is the opportunity, if the town's gonna have to go and update code, we might as well insert some
Yeah, some
language
other
and new
language,
code
yeah.
Power,
that helps, yeah.
redundancy,
Yeah.
Exactly.
battery backup and.
All these things we talked about, and maybe even fiber conduits, like the dig one stuff. and,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, we're talking about the Golden's Bridge.
Yeah,
Also emergency communications for the fire department, like police department.
That's already in.
well, and that's something that Brian has brought up repeatedly and piggybacking on, I think there's a separate county study or some sort of study on the emergency,
That's okay, yep.
Yeah.
What they did in Pound Ridge I'm oversimplifying,
Uh-huh.
but it's, you can put a tower here on Adams Lane, but you need to provide for emergency services. That's not just provide a space for it, provide the equipment too. So
Okay.
is my understanding too.
And
And they
did
did
that happen with the Cross River Town? Because I know that they put it on there
Yeah.
and they gave the top to
To LVAC.
LVAC, but
Right.
they actually paid for the equipment?
I have to look back too, because they did another site in Scotts Corners too. And I'm pretty sure that we got equipment out of that too.
Okay.
Interesting.
So, but it's important to, when Verizon went on that, this was originally a T-Mobile site.
Yeah.
T-Mobile sold the site to somebody else, and I forget who, it was Homeland or whoever.
Okay,
AT&T went on, they were on the generator, Verizon went on, and for some reason they didn't go on the generator, so the power went out, Verizon dropped.
yeah,
So, but it's just. important
yeah,
to
all,
make
all
sure.
stuff we've talked about.
We were, happened with us.
Yeah, I mean, we were shocked to learn that, each carrier like demands their own backup, equipment rather than it being a.
Interesting, like, there's a big monster generator, Adams Lane, like a huge fuel tank
Yeah.
underneath that fuels, that supplies for the entire,
Is it one
Wow.
structure? Is it
Yeah.
one building?
it is one.
That's why,
Yeah,
that's why.
so then.
Everything,
Yeah,
is
'cause
so like Vista is the opposite of that.
If you
It's all mud.
Right, should be some installation, there's like 20 buildings back there.
Correct.
Well, they wheel in one big building and each one has a room.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they've gotten away from that because of access issues.
I mean, yeah,
Like,
like,
what do
that's-
you mean access?
well, at the business site, there's a separate installation for each carrier.
Like, there being a separate installation for each carrier, so they each have their own plot or corner of the physical footprint of the site.
Right, and each, it's like.
And then their own equipment is located there and that's it, and they're not accessing a building with other people's equipment in it or anything like
But
that.
that's also true for Adams Lane, each one has their own pod and only they can
With
access that pod.
Yeah,
Their door, it has 15 doors,
Okay,
okay, and each room is segregated
from,
from every other room.
yeah, they
When I
didn't
go
do
into the
that.
county.
Yeah.
I go in the county and there's no AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, nothing. If I go into the AT&T room, it's just simply
them.
AT&T room, there's no access from anywhere else.
yeah,
Yeah, they didn't do that.
So that's what you meant by one
Yeah.
building. It's one building, but it's for.
Right, segments.
Segment.
But at least I think some synergies
And who built that
I don't remember, I'm gonna do a little.
Okay.
and I, maybe there's some things we do that in
Where is-
the
Adams Lane.
code as well,
Yeah.
to encourage consolidation.
Well, we spoke to Homeland about that and they said they don't, they just don't want to consolidate.
Yes,
It's all separate.
So,
well, you're back.
they being the carriers.
Yeah, the carriers.
Yes. But that was.
But I think I'll have, I'm gonna have to go back.
Generator.
I'm gonna have to go back. I thought there was some communication somewhere, I don't know if it was from Susan at Cityscape, where they said that you can, in the code, encourage them to go against that instinct.
Okay, okay.
I'll have to like review that
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
But I mean, that was the one new thing is like this zoning analysis. And then I don't know if in your conversations, you got any sense of, when this is gonna wrap up from Cityscape? Because that was gonna be another follow-up
So-
item for me. It was just.
Yeah,
There's still the Bedford survey.
they're.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Still
sorry to hear that.
open.
Yeah, that seemed like they should have gotten it,
Yeah,
but I think they got distracted by litigation.
yeah, I'm sure that.
Yeah, Verizon.
But that was the
Yeah.
problem with tying ourselves to this study, because, we were
Yeah.
kind of ready for moving on stuff.
That.
Well, I am-
That's another delayed by.
We were being consulted, but I think at that point.
Well, and that's another point. I mean, we had this
Telling us something we
moratorium.
already knew.
We have this moratorium on moving forward for the cityscape project. But I don't know that there's anything preventing, Tony and the board from saying we've seen enough. we
Yeah,
can
and the
start moving
moratorium.
forward. Yeah,
Make the
yeah.
decision, because like what Rob was just saying, was that they didn't unfortunately tell us anything that we didn't really already know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and it's just
That was
validating,
clear.
it's just validating.
I think what the promise was that maybe we'll find something that's on our border that's going up.
yeah, maybe that we're not
That
considering.
we're not considering, like something in Ridgefield or something in North Salem or something
Right.
in Bedford Town Ridge, but turns out there's nothing else.
Yeah, there isn't, yeah.
Like, we're the closest,
That is truly
Yeah,
that's like the bad
the
news.
last possibility, yeah.
So the news, the news, but.
well, and that was interesting that they mentioned, in terms of getting, this site that's in Bedford technically, along Route 35 past Four Winds. I mean, that would be another,
That's that would help us.
that would
because
definitely help
it
us.
helps
Yeah.
going north because of, increased Miller Road is up the road or just north of that. So that would definitely be, because it doesn't respect geography, or it
Yeah,
doesn't respect.
And I
political
think,
lines.
I think Manny also said that they were going to propose a tower that they've looked into leasing property and proposed a tower to Bedford.
In Bedford, right, that would
Yeah.
help,
That would tell
On
them.
35,
yeah.
beyond like Evergreen Nursery.
Yeah.
right.
I mean, that I think would be worth penning a letter to Bedford to encourage them to do.
As long as it's not over 60 feet.
Verizon paid for the ambulance, police, highway, and fire department equipment.
At
At
Town Road.
Adams Lane.
Oh, at Adams Lane.
And at the Scotts Corner Tower. Verizon picked up the bill at Adams Lane, and I think the tower people picked up the bill
At the
in,
back.
at the back. Verizon paid something like for the equipment, like 80 grand or something like that. So it's something that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely
Talking
something to
about
think about.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Access to the site and access to the top spot on the tower, it also provides for equipment that's needed for the local municipalities, not just access,
Yeah.
equipment, and even so far as to say it's backup power for.
For it, yeah,
Yeah,
and maybe.
provide one.
uh,
Yeah, what's something?
Keep going. And you would provide you with a copy of the agreement.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
That way you could-
Yeah.
So LVAC, you mentioned LVAC, so that was, they did pick up the equipment for.
No, Town Ridge.
Pound Ridge Drive.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay, so got it, okay, because I think for
Right.
LVAC, they did pick up the equipment, but I have to go
Right.
back and look.
So question on this, the town code update.
Yeah.
So if this changes, so as we're speaking about this, I think if I'm understanding correctly, there's only the possibility of even 2 more towers entering into consideration for the town, for anywhere in the town. So
From the perspective of the carriers is kind of.
that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So we changed this legislation, town code legislation, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the technical term would be for it, but the code changes.
Uh-huh.
So now we have access to those 2 sites for emergency services. So does that then, I understand it's not a retroactive, because obviously sites that are built and existing.
Yeah,
can't.
we-
So what happens, do they then, when they go through a renewal process, have to comply with the updated code? Or how does that apply to existing towers? Or does it even apply to?
Well,
existing
we
towers?
could take that up, like, whenever there's a renewal on.
Right, that's right.
American Tower, where
So-
they've already kicked off, they want us to have discussions regarding renewal of, I think it's the Town Park Tower, I believe. So maybe that's,
I thought Verizon on the town one.
I thought it was.
Yeah, no, I thought we proposed this with the upgrades at the
Or
Vista
maybe-
Firehouse Tower and we got told.
Yeah.
We got told by the attorneys of the carriers that. You
Retroactive.
you
Yeah.
can't, once the permit, like,
That's why I'm asking.
you can't make any changes.
To renew,
Once the permit expires.
right.
Yeah,
that's-
once it
that's what
expires, that's an opportunity for us.
And that could be the
Yeah.
opportunity.
I thought we had the conversation, like, I remember.
Yeah, I remember it like
Once
once,
the one was renewed.
yeah,
We said, why don't we make them put X, Y, and Z, and they came back and said, we don't have to do that because it's a renewal, it's not a new contract.
So first,
So that brings my point. So we changed this legislation and now all of a sudden the only 2 things that it's helping are 2 towers that
yeah.
may or may not even actually be put in.
Right.
Well, I mean, it could apply to the micro
Of
towers.
course, it should be put in for the future. I'm not saying,
Yeah.
I'm not being,
Yeah.
I'm being pessimistic.
Yeah.
here.
It's a very,
Raising this point, that this may not even really affect many of the towers.
so the lease agreement that's gonna require renewal is, it's Cross River Site 413-114. So they mentioned Cross River, so I doubt it's
Yeah.
the new one.
yeah.
So what's the other side of Cross River?
Is it the
Gotta be
one
Town
in
Park.
Town Park?
Okay, so
That's right.
Verizon.
Yeah, I think for some reason, the town park one's labeled Cross River. I remember that now.
Yeah,
It's confusing.
yeah.
Is Verizon or that's American Tower?
This is American Tower
Oh,
looking
yeah.
to
Interesting.
start the dialogue on the renewal.
So one other thing I would mention, when you're talking about contracts and renewals and things like that,
Mhm.
is adding, and I'm not sure if you guys have it already, but upkeep of the tower and the grounds and specifically plowing of the driveway to these towers. I know that Adams Lane, the county calls because they need to access the trunking site and they said, well, who's gonna plow? Okay,
Our town,
that's something that's easily accessible. If there's
Yeah.
emergency, if there's a
Yeah,
emergency response equipment up there, then the road needs to be maintained for any sort of.
Yeah, I thought that was in the lease agreements,
But
that they
just
maintain,
something
yeah.
just to make sure it's.
okay,
For fuel delivery for.
Yeah, for the generator.
Yeah, yeah. Because that was an issue we had with, Zeus, I think, Tropical Silver Zeus. Azaleas, is that am I pronouncing it correctly? Where the town park tower, there's a tree that fell across the access road and they couldn't get up there to refuel it, so it ran out of fuel.
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
I
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah,
And there's another thing too, it's gonna have the proper security too, because Adams Lane, someone went up and took all the copper, all the grounding straps, they moved it
really?
out of the ground, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the lighting is structured.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything got down, so.
All right.
all right,
So
so,
that's our code,
yeah.
our code change.
For the special-
You know, and I think, and that's all I had on my agenda. I mean, which, you know, this time we're coming up on the hour. I don't know if we feel like we need a public comment period,
Well, there are people on, so.
if,
Yeah.
quick public comment.
If anyone, from
has
the
any
public has a
public
question, please raise your hand.
Questions or comment, we'll take those quickly.
Raise your virtual hand.
Moderate. Call Jan up to have that.
I know, yeah, yeah.
You could.
So, unmute looks
That's
like,
right.
I don't see, there's, iPhone is
There
unmuted.
are two people.
Two people, Janine and iPhone.
Any questions from Janine or iPhone? Please raise your hand.
It's like iPhone's unmuted. I can't hear anything, yeah?
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm
Hear you now, yes.
I'm one of the iPhones.
Okay.
Oh,
The one I.
I'm sorry.
You can state your
Who is
name,
this?
and,
Yeah,
your
of course.
handle.
Yeah, my name is Damian Whelan.
Okay.
I'm on Spring Street, just up from the deli. And I guess my question is more about kind of what are the next steps in your decision-making process? I heard you discuss questions about getting feedback from residents. I just want to know a little bit more about process as you start to narrow in on some of these sites and what opportunities the public have to share our thoughts on the sites that you're considering.
Well, I think the polling has happened already, but, you know, I think we're always
Yeah.
happy to get comments through the AAB email from the public on these and other matters. So
It will be once we, so right now, the two side, that we have the Salt Dome, we have the other site near the animal hospital that's being considered, that's new. We haven't seen any plans for that yet, and we're still waiting to hear back from, or Homeland is waiting to hear back from Verizon. They've spoken to AT&T, AT&T has accepted it. So then it's a matter of, with the work that's coming out of this study and the discussions with Homeland and looking at coverage maps, identifying which is the best site. And then taking public feedback, which would, we would have a public hearing, or public comment periods, at the least. And then we would probably, before we make a decision, I think, have the public engaged and giving us your opinion.
No, and I think that's important to clarify is that we've gotten comment on the general infrastructure through this cityscape study. There's a moratorium on specific sites that was put in place by the prior supervisor that is still in place until the study closes or the current supervisor
Actually,
decides to
the
close.
town board, just to clarify.
Oh, town board, yeah, town
Yeah, it
board.
wasn't this-
Good clarification. Town board lifts, but until actual specific proposals come through, nothing is really officially happening.
Right.
And as Tony explained, when they do come through, then it goes through the due process that's in place.
Right, and we did that with the Cross River Tower, right, by over at Elvac. I mean, we had a balloon test, right, so we had Homeland Towers put up, balloons, so you could see where the tower would be visible and from various perspectives. And then we had public hearings. We had several meetings where it gave an opportunity for folks to comment after that balloon test. So we would probably do the same thing here, I would say.
Yeah, so.
Homeland, when we were talking about the Salt Dome, they were looking at putting up a crane with some
With an antenna.
radio equipment
Yeah.
and then do a drive test.
Right,
And just to create a map. of-
that's why I asked, I didn't know if they'd done that.
Yeah, they hadn't done it, but they were getting ready to do that when we.
Made the whole, yeah.
Put the moratorium in place.
Mm.
So anyway, all that is yet to happen, and there'll be
Yeah.
plenty of opportunity to comment on specific proposed sites when that comes into play.
Right.
Just point of clarification, if I might. So you're the proposals of the sites, you evaluate the information, the data, and then is it the town board that actually finalizes the decision-making process?
Companies have to make the proposal.
Right,
And
And then it has to be accepted by
has to
the
be
town
accepted
board.
by the town board.
right. They make a proposal. We look at the terms of the potential agreement that we would have in place and then town board will make a decision.
But there are constraints that the town board has. There's a time clock. that
Here's the time,
starts.
the shot clock.
The shot clock
Yeah.
starts, and so we have I don't know, it's a 90 or 180 days, I forget.
I forget, yeah.
But there's definitely a time period, but that's only once they've submitted the official application.
Proposal, yeah.
And
Right.
then you've accepted it. And
Right.
But it's designed so that you can't just push them off one meeting at a time forever.
Right,
So.
Exactly,
You know,
yeah.
it's an FCC federal law.
Yep, that's correct.
So we have some constraints around the town,
Right.
but
Then
they,
because it's town property, we then have the, what's it called?
Monroe balance.
The Monroe balance, test, which basically are a list of items that if we meet those criteria, we can, the town becomes the lead agency in deciding, so it doesn't have to go to the planning board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everything is a subcommittee of the town board. anyway.
Correct,
So you're
Right.
just basically saying, we're taking this one,
right,
and we're,
right. Of course, with planning board input, we,
Yeah, yeah.
did that, of course, we still.
All right, a lot of discussion. Hopefully that gives you some,
takes
some
a while.
clarity on that, but and there's gonna be plenty of discussion to come, believe me.
Right,
There's a minimum 6 months. I mean,
yeah, I don't see anything
you know,
happening.
there's nothing that's gonna happen in within
Right.
6 months. I mean,
Right.
I'd say nothing's gonna be built within 6 months.
Right.
Things will happen.
Yeah.
Hopefully things are happening.
Any other questions from
2 years.
It
from the
was-
from the public attendees? Don't see.
See additional
Muted, Dean is
hands.
muted.
Okay.
If you're trying to talk, you're muted.
I'll
Raise your
move
hand. You can see
To,
you.
or hit the raise hand. So I guess I'll move to close public comment.
Close
period.
public comment, okay?
Do I need a second?
Oh, I'll
Have
second.
a second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye. All right, so we move to
Adjourn.
polling of the board before we go into executive session. Any comments to close? Rob?
No, I think we covered a lot.
Okay,
Had a good discussion.
Yeah,
Brian,
I'm good.
Tony?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Hopefully we'll get some additional updates from the carriers, before the next meeting and share that with everyone yeah.
Okay,
And then I'll check on a schedule with the master plan study from Cityscape. I looked, but I think.
yeah, I think that's
Especially
a,
26
that's a
week.
follow-up item just to see
Yeah.
where they are and
Yeah.
then.
I sent my 35 pager to you, to everyone here, plus Lynn,
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
just so you know.
So we should put it on the website.
Yeah, I think
That's
we'll
good.
put that on the website.
Okay.
No copyright.
Good.
And then, yeah, because that was
Would you write that down?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and I'll follow up with Susan to see what coach language suggestions.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so I'll move to adjourn to executive session to discuss potential new members of the AAB and other personnel issues.
Second.
All in favor?
Third.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna shut down the YouTube. So good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.